You are listening to StoryMakers, the podcast for women who are ready to step into their true identity, live with meaningful purpose, find belonging and connection, grow in leadership, and walk boldly in faith. Here you can uncover the story that you were created to live because you were made for such a time as this. So I began rewriting my story when I first realized my parents, get this, they weren't to blame for my life today. I shared this in one of the first episodes of the podcast, number 2, on becoming a StoryMaker. But my childhood narrative, based on who I am, how God has designed me to perceive the world, to be here, I perceived what happened in my life and the narrative through emotional abandonment, addiction, mental illness, abuse, scarcity, like all these things happening in my home and around me and in my family as a child. So simply put, that the foundation I grew up on, it was formed with a lot of fear. And I was one of those people God designed in a way that my first response to something is more fight rather than flight, at least as an adult, right? As a child, I didn't understand. I was making sense of the world the way my brain could. And I think there was some more flight and freeze in my life. But as I grew and developed and my cognitive thinking kicked in, I became more of a fighter. And then I decided I would not be a victim of anything happening around me. I would be a survivor, which that in of itself it also has its problems, right? You can go from victimhood to living in survivorhood, and you're still in an unhealthy neighborhood. So as an adult, as a believer in Jesus, I don't want my past to define my present or my future. I have done the work and prayed the prayers, broke off the generational curses. But even if you pray all those prayers and invite God into it, you still have to take responsibility for today's choices and tomorrow's choices. So you can fall back kind of into the old ways without your DNA, demons, or determinations of the world around you being at fault for it. I like to say that my mom, she had diabetes, like type 2 diabetes. If she had been healed from type 2 diabetes, like supernaturally healed, right? But continued eating the way she always ate and not caring for her body, that's going to affect the healing that takes place in her body. Even supernaturally, like Jesus touches her, her body is healed, her blood is healed. But if she doesn't change anything and take personal responsibility for how she lives, which takes time, and it takes a knowledge, it takes awareness, it takes a lot of work, but it gets an alignment. The changes, had she made them, would have been in alignment with the healing. If you receive healing in your heart for any kind of childhood trauma, but then you continue to live your life of shaming, judging, and cursing your parents, your siblings, your caretakers, your teachers, the people around you in your childhood, that's going to impact the healing that you received in your heart. That goes for the same thing, like if you go through the process of forgiving, and that brings a measure of healing. And there are layers to this. There's a lot of work that gets done over time. But just like anything that's been healed, like a broken bone, it can be broken again. It can be hurt again. So when a broken bone has been set into its proper place and then protected with a cast and a sling so it can heal, you don't have to tell it what to do. It's going to heal back together on its own simply because it's positioned to heal intentionally. So you have to take action to let the healing flow in your life and influence all of the areas of your soul where it's been impacting your life for years, for decades. And it is, it's just important to know that your brokenness in any one area influences many other areas of your life, right? And we all have it. You have to do the work of allowing the healing that takes place to flow and then start becoming it a healing influence to all of the other areas. Or by default, the bitterness and the pain in those areas can become the influencers instead. Immediate healing is so wonderful. I have seen immediate healing both in people's souls and in people's bodies. It's so beautiful. It's such a magnificent opportunity to see the heart of God. But most of our healing isn't a supernatural, this very moment miracle. Most healing takes time and as a process. And like when Jesus told the 10 lepers to go take a walk and then they were healed as they went in faith, right? I refer to healing because it's basically like it's a renewal of something, like a renewal of the bone when it's been set, just like renewing our minds. So healing and renewal are natural processes. You can always fall into old ways simply through your next decision. So being aware of how you decide to live and taking responsibility for your choices today, regardless of your past, knowing that it's impacted you, regardless of what others have done or haven't done, what they're doing, it's one of the most powerful paradigm shifts that you can make. See, I don't want to be a victim of my past or my present or my future, but I also don't want to just simply be a survivor. I want my decisions about what I believe and think to lead to how I feel and what I do and end up creating results and legacies that don't look like victimhood and survivalism. I want them to look like hope and faith. Victimhood, survivorhood, they're both rooted in fear. One is, I'm afraid. Well, I'm going to say both of them are rooted, have a fear of being used, trapped, controlled by other people. It's just kind of like a different response. And nobody needs bad parenting or trauma or loss or abandonment to live in fear. That's just, like a normal human response that we have. Unless you know the truth and then you get set free, right? The truth is always the truth, whether you believe the truth or not, whether you lean in and live in it or not. So a lot of this, if not all of it, just begins with a decision to renew your mind, take your thoughts captive so you can live from freedom and faith instead of fear, from peace and joy, not the inner suppressed rage, bitterness, resentment, so you can live from hope and love instead of shame and powerlessness. So this is about renewing your mind and reclaiming your personal agency and co-creating a new story with God. So we've been talking about renewing our minds so that we can reset this story going forward. And that doesn't mean ignoring what's hard. It doesn't mean forcing a positive spin on your pain. And it definitely doesn't mean pretending things are fine when they are not. It just means that we're choosing to recognize the thoughts we live from and then measure them up against the truth and then choose what gets to stay and choose what needs to go. It is more work when we choose to not live in default and be at effect because of the world around us. It is more work internally, but once you start living that way and it becomes a habit, it will shift things for you. It'll become more normal. And it means noticing when a belief that you operate from is when it's rooted in fear or scarcity or shame or old patterns, and then just asking, is this thought actually helping me walk in truth? Is it helpful? Is it hopeful? Is it what God says? And when it's not, rather than stuffing it down or fighting it or ignoring it, you actually replace it. You plant a new thought, one like aligned scripture or one thought that's rooted in love or leads to peace, or let's just say all of the above, right? Like we want it aligned with scripture. We want it rooted in love. We want it to lead to peace because your brain is actually wired to protect you. God developed your brain and created it that way to protect you, but it's not always telling you the truth. So you get to actively, intentionally decide what you rehearse, repeat, and remember. So the more often you have a thought that's rehearsed, the more it becomes automatic and it's repeated. And that's how you begin remembering it. So that's how you form a paradigm in the first place. It's through repetition. So renewing your mind is simply creating new repetition on purpose, not to be perfect, not to impress people, but to live from truth and alignment and show up as the woman that you are truly made, called to be, not the one that fear tried to shape you into as it pulled on and used the circumstances around you. So this isn't fake positivity. I believe in finding the positive. Don't get me wrong. But I also don't believe that the life is always supposed to be positive. I think it's great and terrible. We're going to have positive and negative in our lives, and to become a high resilience individual, you have to accept what feels negative to you and stop resisting it. And accept it and know that it's not fatal, it's not forever. And you're going to get through it. And the fastest way to get through negative emotion is to actually allow it, let it flow through and out. So this is actually transformation one thought at a time. So you use that old pearl path to trace what's already happening, the paradigm, which leads to the emotion, which causes you to take an action and creates results that culminate in a legacy. So this reveals that default pattern playing out in your life. Then you flip it and you walk out the new pearl path in reverse so that you intentionally change your mind, starting with the legacy you want to create, the results that will create it, the action that will create the result, the emotion that inspires the action, and the paradigm that is the foundation for the emotion you experience. So that's how you rewire the belief systems and choose new thoughts and create new outcomes that align with who we want to become. So maybe you have an encounter with the Lord and you can honestly say, I am done living from blame. But then those same feelings and reactions and fears start sneaking in over the next few days or weeks or maybe hours, minutes. And you wonder, is anything really changing? And you feel discouraged or maybe ashamed. But the truth is you can change. You just have to know how. You have to take action towards the change. Nobody can change you for you, right? Romans 12:2 says to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It's not saying, I have transformed you because I have renewed your mind once and for all. It's saying you go be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You have to do it. But it's possible because of the one act of Jesus on the cross that's done. But the renewing of your mind is consistent. And it's not the renewing of your circumstances or your schedule. It is not the renewal of let's flush out all of things. That makes me think of a card game I play with my kids where you're just okay, flush, and we push all of those cards. They're no good to us anymore. We push them off the table and we reset. You can't do that with the people in your life. You don't flush out and renew the group of people in your life. You can maybe a couple, but not everybody. The Bible says to be transformed not by the renewing of your circumstances or time or bank account or people in your life. It says by the renewing of your mind. So change doesn't start with behavior. It starts with belief. So that's why Jesus would ask questions like, what do you want me to do for you? Or do you believe I can do this? Because what you believe sets the tone for how you feel and how you act and the results that follow. And most of us don't even realize what we're believing. We know what we've read. We know what the Bible said. We know what the pastor said. We know what our parents said. We know what we have read that we say we believe, but we're just living inside of a default paradigm that's been shaped by the repetition and memory and culture and fear and wounds and defense mechanisms, like all of the things over years. Your soul operates from it until you realize, I haven't been thinking about what I think. I haven't been thinking about what I believe. I haven't been thinking about what I feel so that I could be aware of it. That's why the pearl practice matters so much. It helps you see it. And once you see it, you can shift it. So I'm just going to keep always continually helping you to remember this. Observing the default in the old pearl. Think through a paradigm of what are the facts of the situation, that you're facing. Neutral facts, no opinion, no judgment to them. Then the paradigm. What are the default thoughts, beliefs, or interpretations I'm living in about this situation? Emotion. What is the emotion that paradigm creates? And what the action is, what do I do or don't do when I feel this emotion? The result is the tangible outcome of that action, and the legacy is the result contributing, coming together and culminating over time. What kind of story is your paradigm, emotion, actions, and results? Like, what kind of story are they writing? So this path helps you become aware of what's really going on beneath the surface and helps you stop blaming circumstances or people or external things and start recognizing the root of your patterns. And then you move to the new pearl and you actually create a new story. So when you see what the old, the current pearl is that you're operating from, you can choose to create a new one so you can actually know, hey, I have a goal. What kind of woman do I want to be? What do I want my life to mean? Right? The result, that's the legacy. And then the result is what kind of consistent outcomes would create that legacy over time. And then the action is what intentional steps or habits or rhythms are going to actually produce the results I need. And then the emotion is, what kind of emotion would help me sustain taking those actions? Like if I feel peace, will I do this action? If I feel hope, if I feel safe, if I feel courage, what is the emotion that will cause me to go, wow, I really want to take this action right now. I'm willing to do it. I'll be consistent. And then the paradigm is what truth-filled, life-giving thought will create the emotion. And is that thought and belief aligned with what God says? This is that deeper paradigm work. So this is where you change your mind, not by forcing new behavior, but by planting a new thought. Because every paradigm is a seed, and then seeds, when we water them, they will grow and they will bear fruit. It's how transformation actually works, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. And you can't just modify your behavior. It's not really sustainable. You have to renew the mind so that your behavior, the action, is in alignment with the paradigm. And when your beliefs are aligned with truth, then your emotions will start to shift. And when your emotions shift, your actions become sustainable. Your results start to match your intention, not your fear, not your blame, not your shame. This is the power of living intentionally, not through willpower, but by partnership with God. So I want you to reflect and take an honest look, like what story have you been living on repeat? And what legacy has your current life story been writing? Are you stuck? Are you hiding, overcommitting, people-pleasing, giving up, keeping your mouth shut, playing too small? Are you stuck in analysis paralysis? Are you chasing down perfection? If so, what would you want if you didn't chase perfection? If you weren't hiding, if you weren't escaping, what would you write in your story instead? Because this is a moment where you can actually change your mind. All right. I would encourage you to just, again, take a situation or something that has upset you, a struggle in your life currently, walk through both pearl paths and write out the current, like your old pearl, the one right now, and then flip it and write the new pearl for the story that you want to live instead. So ask God, what do you say about this? And let his truth become your new starting point. You are not stuck or powerless. You are not too late to change your mind or rewrite your story. God is really ready to walk with you every step of the way. Literally why I'm here is I want to help you do that. And in the show notes, you're going to find a link to a free download of the Story Reset Guide. So if you have been feeling stuck or weary, unsure who you are anymore, you are interested in knowing how do I renew my mind, then this guide is going to help you pause and reconnect and realign with what matters most. So yeah, if this has been helpful, I would love for you to share it with other women. It's one of those things when you start a new endeavor, you got to get out and tell the world. And one of my favorite things is when a listener or a client goes and tells somebody else about something that has been impactful or powerful in their own lives. That's actually one of the most beautiful. It's like my love language. So, yeah, jump into the show notes. Make sure you grab that guide and just get in there. Give yourself a minute. You can even just go through this in 5 or 10 minutes or do it, print it out and save it for like a morning devotional time. If you start really processing this way, then you'll see how you can use the Pearl practice so powerfully in your life on a consistent basis. I use it throughout every day. And it really helps me understand what one thought that I didn't know I was having is doing to change the trajectory, right? It's like that, what do they say? If you were to change the course of a ship just 1 degree, you're going to land on a completely different island. It only takes 1 degree shift to go over time, really big change in the course. So this is shifting your paradigm. And think of your paradigm as like the ship that's going to land somewhere, right? And there's a lot of people on the ship. There's people that'll be impacted by the ship when you land. Think about it. And it really does matter what you do with your life. God has something for you, and he has other people who he has something in you. Your identity, purpose, and belonging connects to the need and the desire in other people's lives. So I encourage you to pay attention to that because your story matters. All right. Love you, friend. Talk to you soon. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to the show so you don't miss any new episodes. And to learn more about me, my work, and how we can connect, visit sterlingandstonementoring.com or check the show notes. And until next time, remember, all things are possible and figure outable.